Okay, now let's move on to the second part of our session, which is my personal study experience and test-taking journey. Again, I'm Gio. Hello, guys. And here's a little bit about my background. Okay, my formal Chinese language education started when I was still very young. From kindergarten all the way to high school, I studied at Chiang Kai-shek College in the Philippines. Sino dito taga Chiang Kai? Kaway-kaway! Ayun, may nakita ako. Ayun, hi, hello fellow alumni. Okay, so for those who are not familiar with it, it's a bilingual school and it's also widely known as one of the Chinese schools in the Philippines. That's where I built my foundation in Chinese. Okay, I still remember our Chinese classes back then. We had workbooks containing history, stories, conversations, different real life situations. So from those lessons, we were given vocabulary lists that we had to memorize. And when I say memorize, hindi lang pronunciation, yung kailangan nating tandaan. Hindi rin sapat na alam mo kung paano isulat yung character. Kailangan alam mo rin yung actual meaning ng words. Okay, so after learning a set of vocabulary words, magkakaroon kami ng maliit na quiz. Usually, ibibigay ng teacher yung meaning, tapos kami naman yung magsusulat ng tamang Chinese word or character. Ayan. So, looking back now, medyo mahirap siya nung estudyante pa ako. Pero na-realize ko ngayon kung gaano kalaking tulong pala yung ganitong klaseng training. Okay? Honestly, I also feel very fortunate na nagkaroon ako ng pagkakataong mag-aral sa CKSC. The most useful tool I've learned there is the test-taking strategies. Like when we were in high school, because we already learned the basics, right? So sa last year, we focused more on familiarizing ourselves with how to take the entrance exams for the different universities we aim to join. Andyan yung frequent pilot test. Tapos teachers coaching us how to use context clues, checking, double checking all our answers, and then critical thinking while answering the test items. These are really helpful test taking strategies. So I really feel grateful to CKSE. Anyway, back to Chinese language training. Hindi lahat nabibigyan ng opportunity na magkaroon ng formal Chinese language education at a young age. Talagang malaking advantage siya para sa akin. Okay, and I saw this advantage when I came here to Taiwan. So pagdating ko dito, one of my first jobs was working as a translator for a manpower service company. And then after that, I joined PTI Power Technology Incorporated as a production leader. And then later on, I was promoted to become an HR development and training specialist, where I handled employee development and training programs. Okay, PTI colleagues, are you here? Give me a heart or smiley face. Oh, wala. Anyway, eventually, I moved on to my current position as an HR and finance head administrator at Barrio Deluxe. Anyway, anyway, anyone familiar with Barrio Deluxe? Mukhang wala. Okay. So, sa mga di nakakaalam, you'll see our specialty bread products displayed on Filipino grocery stores all over Taiwan. Stores like EEC, Gold Star, R7, mga ganun. Okay? So, looking back at my career journey, one thing became very clear. Chinese language proficiency opened many doors, whether it's employment, promotion opportunities, professional training, etc. So, malaking advantage talaga siya dito sa Taiwan. Okay? Another experience I'd like to share happened very recently. Last June, I attended a seminar organized by Hsinchu City Police Department, specifically for interpreters. And what I found interesting was that they had a language proficiency requirement before you could even join the seminar. Okay, so applicants were required to present a TOCFL Band B Level 1 certificate. And that's just for attending the seminar. So if you're planning to build your career in Taiwan long term, having a TOEFL certificate can definitely be an advantage. Okay, now that I'm not attending any formal education right now, pero patuloy pa rin akong curious and motivated mag-absorb ng new knowledge. So for example, dati, parati kong naririnig yung word na maoping sa mga workmates ko. And I know based on context that it meant error sa system or problem sa machine. Or kung sa tao naman, ibabase may topak. Okay, pero bakit maoping? When mao means fur and ping means sickness. Eh wala namang fur yung machine or tao or system. May makakasagot ba? Anyone? Type one word. Related to sa isang hayop. On the count of three. One, two, three. Rat? No. That's funny. Okay. Cat? Hindi rin. Bear? No. Okay. So parang walang nakasagot ng tama. Fish? Hindi rin. Nakakatawa yung mga sagot. Panda? Okay, okay. Anyway, the answer is horse. Yun pala, it's because way, way back, horses are the most common tools for the Chinese people. Okay, yes, tools. They were used for many situations, like transportation, farming, lifting heavy objects, etc. Okay? So, if may sakit yung kabayo na nabili mo, or if ma-attitude, malaking kawalan para sa owner. So, paano nila pinipili yung horses when buying one? They look at the fur. So, if this horse has maoping or merong fur sickness, they don't buy it kasi it's problematic. So, sa kalaunan, it became the colloquial term for may topak or may problema. Ayun, so we can search for all these information sa Google, but also remember to double check the sources kasi we have to avoid false information. Ayun. So thank you for participating, guys. That's really entertaining. Okay, so now let me share some practical tips based on my own registration experience. Okay, so the first thing I want to emphasize is your ID photo. Please follow the photo requirements very carefully kasi TOCFL is very strict when it comes to photo verification. So for example, if your background color is not white, or if your ears are not clearly visible, if the image quality is poor, ayun, the system may reject your photo. So at least a week before the registration period, successfully upload your photo first. It will save you a lot of time and trouble later. So ID photo specifications are explained in details on the registration site. Just check it out. Or just screenshot this page, this one. Okay? Also, you can just take a selfie or ask a friend to take a picture of you with these specifications in mind. Okay, no need to spend money for professional picture taking. Okay, number two, another important tip is to read all emails sent by TOCFL after the registration. Once your registration is confirmed, they will send exam instructions and reminders to your email. So please read everything carefully. And most of the problems encountered by test takers can actually be avoided simply by reading the instructions beforehand. Okay, and then number three, of course, check your registered name multiple times. The name on your registration must exactly match the name on your passport or ARC. Okay? Kasi even a small discrepancy dun sa name ninyo can cause serious problems on the exam day. Okay? On the exam day, expect the proctors to be very strict. Okay? Pero don't be nervous. They're simply doing their job to maintain the integrity of the examination. So just follow instructions carefully and everything will go smoothly. And then number two, as for the CAT exam itself, let me be honest, it can be mentally exhausting. Yes. So the adaptive system keeps adjusting based on your performance, diba? So if you answer correctly, the system gives you more difficult questions. So the higher your level becomes, the more challenging the questions becomes as well. Ouch, sorry. Okay, so sometimes after the exam, I hear fellow PTI colleagues say dati, sinasabi nila parang hindi yata effective yung mga pinag-aralan ko. So actually, that's not necessarily true. It simply means that the system already determined that you've mastered one level and it's now testing whether you can handle the next level. Okay? So don't blame yourself or your teachers. Ganun lang talaga yung exam. Okay. So before we end, I'd also like to share a case that might be helpful. We once had a group of around 20 employees scheduled to take the exam. Unfortunately, one employee registered on an abbreviated name. So for example, yung ARC name is Jose Protasio Rizal. And then yung registered name niya dun sa TOCFL is Jose P. Rizal. Okay? As a result, nakaupo kami sa nakaupo na kami lahat sa test room. And the proctors were double checking the names and then saw the discrepancies sa ARC and the name list ng TOEFL. And he was not allowed to take the exam. And then the registration fee was not refundable also. Ayun, so please learn from that experience. So make sure the name you registered on TOEFL is exactly the same as your name in your passport or ARC. And always verify your personal information carefully before submitting your registration. Okay? Sometimes a very small mistake can lead to a very expensive lesson.